character with the biggest personality has got to be Rexplode. Rex is just a little asshole. He's a wise ass. He's an asshole.
It's hard not to include the word asshole when talking about Rex.
I tried to find a different word to put in his style guide. I couldn't.
Asshole. Rex. As soon as he came into the roster, we're like, let's go. Like, because there's so much stuff we can do with that. He just trolls the opponent a lot.
I think his attitude comes out in all of his animations for his games.
His assholery comes through easily in the way he plays. I kind of like Rex despite how much I want to dislike him.
He has a smirk on his face throughout the whole game.
But he's got a heart. And that's really what I love about Rex. He is sort of the person willing to sacrifice himself for his friends. He's the person putting himself in between bullets to protect civilians. There's only room for one of us to be this awesome.
The first character I was assigned was Rex. That was also like my favorite character from the show. So just kind of like immediately out the gate, I was like, oh my god, we have like the design docs that you can lay out all the moves of the character. Somehow we're gonna go from this, and we're gonna end up with whatever's in the game later. I made him one of the best zoners in the game, so his projectile zoning is very good.
He has plenty of tools to just stay far away and blast you.
One of his specials have directional input, so you can change the direction of his projectile.
So if somebody is flying above him, he has a way of like controlling them. So like, no, I'm gonna stop him from being up there.
He has a few extra things in his kit that make up for him not being able to fly. So he has his run, he has his wall jump, that add mobility features to him.
So he starts running, and then while he's running at you, he can hit light, medium, or heavy. And he's either going to throw projectiles in your face, or jumping overhead strike, or sliding low. So it's a really disgusting mind game. But then on top of that, what I also did was I gave him his forward special, which is kind of like this flipping move.
He can like leave his traps on the field and they'll trigger as people go by.
He's got the regular projectile that he can throw, but the boosted version of that actually leaves it on the floor and lasts it for like 5 seconds. So if anyone walks into that, they're going to explode. And it gets really confusing for the opponent to deal with.
Even his taunt will deal damage to you if you let it.
He's got this point flips over his shoulder, and that can be used as a hit as well.
No other taunt in the game can do that. That's his thing. He's just the dick.
The Rex moment in the game has got to be his ultimate.
And the name of the move is Salute. It represents who the character is. He's all about blowing stuff up while being a jackass. There was a scene in the fight versus Machine Head where he used these letter magnets, where he charged up and he gave it to his teammates, and they attached to the opponents to exploded. Time for the big finale! Breathe fast, dickhead!
It's just beautiful. It's so Rex.
He's that wild card, and he's a great asset to your team. When the combat's getting too close, it gives you that breath of fresh air when you need to explode your way out of things.
His assist with traps is incredible. His zoning is even more annoying when every few seconds you've got his friends coming in to also help keep the opponent away from him.
I think Rex has that grounded quickness versus the Viltrumite speed that Mark has.
He suits people well that want the more grounded character.
I think if I was going into a fight, Rexplode is the guy that I would want by my side.
Acrobatic, smirky asshole, fun to play.
I love Rex. You're going to want Rex on your team. I think that's my final wisdom.
Never liked your style anyway.
After all, except it looks like they've been scrapped as cosmetics. I don't blame them because I personally wouldn't be rushing to spend V-Bucks on handcuffs. But I do see us rushing to play basketball on Fortnite. Now this has actually been scrapped multiple times, and yet part of me feels like it's still in the works. I'm not just talking about basketball toys you could throw around the map. This was going to be an entire sports mode. So where did it begin? Well, it was first revealed in the Apple vs. Epic court documents where you can see their plans laid out and take a look at it. Like, it looks awesome. It's straight up an NBA rival in Fortnite. Sadly, it just never happened. And then in 2024, our hopes were lifted during the Big Bang event. Fast forward to the very end, they showed all of the universes. And right here, you can see a basketball mode, clearly indicating they're still working on it. And just a few months later, they removed the ability to make shots with the hoops across the map, making the toy from Chapter 1 useless. So while it's been 5 years since we learned about this mode, most people assume it is scrapped. My hopes are still high though, but we will probably never get the canceled My Hero Academia Mythics. Back when this collab was taking over the game, Fortnite were working on mythics for Raruka that would give us zero gravity, and Bakugo who would let us use his gloves. As you know, it just never made it to the light of day. Back in 2022, in a random update, we saw this doll and a floral wrap get added to the files with the same codename called Pancake Day. You probably celebrate it or have at least heard of it, but in Russia this takes up a whole week, and these were directly tied to the folk holiday and were expected to release right around that time. But just as Epic were planning it, real-world events took hold. Even Fortnite got involved with the Ukraine flag made out of containers on the map and donating over $100 million to humanitarian relief. So obviously with all this, a Russian-themed event for free rewards, that would have been in bad taste, so it was scrapped entirely. The same seemed to happen to a feature we were all waiting for, going prone. I can't even count the amount of times this was leaked, first expected for the open world mode, and then for Chapter 6, it just never came. It has been updated so many times, so clearly Epic still want to add it, but maybe it's just too difficult or something that got heavily delayed. We'll have to wait and see. What about the elephant garlic? Now you might be saying, Tommy, what the heck are you talking about? But this was actually one of the funniest files leaked for a brand new weapon. It was around this time in Chapter 2 that Epic started going crazy with the new items. So if you played Invasion, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So that's why they're working on a gun that would shoot exploding balls of charged energy. It looked pretty fun. But whether it was reworked into something else or just didn't work out, it never released like this. If you're still wondering about the code exploding balls of charged energy with the new items, so if you played Invasion, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So that's why they're working on a gun that would shoot exploding balls of charged energy. It looked pretty fun. But whether it was reworked into something else or just didn't work out, it never released like this. If you're still wondering about the code name, it was called the Electric Gun, and now the initials make sense. A more recent feature was scrapped just a few years ago. Epic were trying out a brand new mechanic we had never seen before. It was called storm splitting. Towards the end of the game, the zone would literally bisect into two completely different circles, which would have led to some crazy moments and unique endgames. Some people think it was meant to be a rare chance to happen in VR, while others think it could have been a cool LTM. Ultimately, Epic never seemed to get it to work because it never saw the light of day. Also, do you remember Kato Thorn? Well, apparently he was going to be more evil than the version we got. It wasn't so long ago we were breaking into his vaults and stealing a mythic only to set off the alarms. And apparently, in early development, they also planned for this feature to fill the room with gas. It would obscure your vision and damage you. All I can say is this is one of the times I'm thankful they changed their mind, because imagine fighting off all the guards, being sealed by metal gates, and avoiding all the enemies, and now your health is just ticking for 2 every second. It would be so annoying. In my opinion, it would have been far more entertaining to just set the place on fire. It was around this time that Fortnite was working on the flamethrower. Obviously, the game already had Molotov cocktails in the form of fireflies, so this thing literally used the bugs as ammo. They officially named it the Firefly Launcher. You can send out burst shots or quick damage in the area, or just charge up a large round to fire a powerful and accurate flame sniper. To this day, I'm honestly surprised you've never seen anything like this. But I'm not as shocked that Epic scrapped this hidden emote, because at the start of Chapter 2, leakers found files for a belly dance emote, which got people wondering. So, when we rewatched the trailer for the season, the dance that Rustler is doing for just a few seconds on the screen starts to make a little bit more sense. This is the unreleased emote, and after how much party hips and other emotes blew up for all of the wrong reasons, I guess Epic decided to step in and just stop the next one before it was too late. Not the only emote we never got, because they were also adding Beyonce. Thanks to Epic's court documents against Apple, we found a slide with a bunch of planned emotes from Say So, Gangnam Style, and more. The only one we haven't seen yet is Single Ladies. As for original skins, Haven was one of the standouts of Chapter 3's Battle Pass, and that's why Fortnite wanted to bring her back to the item shop. In 2024, concept art surfaced of Haven's original sketches, and some of them had outfits we had never seen before. Then leakers discovered Epic were working on a remix item shop skin for Haven, but it's been over a year since then and nothing happened, making it pretty likely she has been scrapped. It's safe to say that once Donald Mustard left in 2023, he took all of the storyline with him. Not only do we know that from Epic completely changing the direction of the story, but the fact that no comic books have been released since. But this wasn't always the case, because after the Collision event, Marvel and Fortnite were working together on a follow-up called Order Restored. From the name, you can imagine it would have continued the Geno cliffhanger from the Zero War comic and explained a lot of Chapter 4 with the Reality Warriors and the Oathbound. Bad news is, in March 2024, it was permanently canceled. It's also pretty disappointing that a brand new emote can leak in the files, only for you to be waiting years for it and it never releases. The Unicycle, it was added in 2022, and despite being shown in trailers, it has never been in the shop. We also got the Invisible Stairs, which is a pretty hilarious emote that we've all done in real life at some point, and it's just been sitting in the files, never releasing. Then there's Treading, a pretty hilarious emote, which even got used by the Bright Raider NPC for the whole of Rex. But what about us, Epic? Can we use it? No. Finally, there's Deep Thought, another emote that's actually a reference to the Thinker memes, whether it's the original statue or this kid pondering life. It would have been funny to use. Sadly, it is just collecting dust in the files. At least they fixed that mistake with the F1 skins. These guys were added in one update, but stayed encrypted in the files as a surprise release. Thankfully, Epic forgot to hide some of the images, otherwise we'd never know they even existed because they never got decrypted. Just a couple of updates later, it was silently removed. Some people theorize they didn't get permission from all the F1 teams, or that constant redesigns to their uniforms instantly outdated them. So instead, this set of defaults was simply lost to time. To this day, you can still find a couple of items like an emote or the back bling still in the files. Sometimes collabs don't even make it that far because a whole festival season got scrapped. New Jeans was planned to be the 7th season for the game mode, but then perfect timing hit when their group had issues with their agency and the collab soon fell through. That left Miku to take their place. A few years ago, we could have never dreamed of Fortnite adding horror villains like Saw or Leatherface, but the year prior, we had rumors of another iconic character coming, Jason Voorhees. It all started when the official account started following Fortnite out of nowhere, followed by an announcement from the Jason universe that they were expanding to a wide range of platforms and experiences. The community does what it does and started speculating, and they even added more fuel to the fire when they replied with just an eye emoji. Obviously, time passed and we never saw the collab happen, but with Epic's new acceptance for horror collabs during Fortnitemares, it is only a matter of time. After all, he has technically already got an Easter egg and saved the world. And while Family Guy took many years to arrive, at least we got it. But did you know there was actually meant to be a lot more? Thanks to insider leaks, people discovered that the glider was originally going to be a cardboard cutout. The trailer was going to be Peter hurting his knee in the middle of a battle, and they'd even have Lego styles. 20th Century even had issues with him being a boss that we'd fight at first, disliking that he'd be seen as a bad person. Obviously, Epic negotiated and made it happen, just leaving him off the boss boards instead. Something else that got entirely reworked was the Frozen SMG. It was first added in the middle of Chapter 2 and literally gave you icy feet for shooting it. Some people love the idea of going insanely fast, while others hated how uncontrollable it is. Either way, Epic ultimately never finished the weapon, turning it into things like the Icy Grappler or the Icy Slide Augment. One thing the community is still hoping will come to light is the Last Realities General. This guy was revealed thanks to an artist concepts, giving us a look at a whole character we never got to see. Whether he's a part of the storyline that got cut, or an upcoming idea for the future, we could only wait and see. All I know is that bringing back the Last Reality with someone like this will make this storyline feel crazy again. Here's one of the funniest times something got scrapped because Epic just forgot. At the end of 2023, we got some stuff added for Winterfest. It didn't seem like much, so when the event ended and the next update rolled around, it was pretty weird to see more Christmas items get added. We had a snowflake emote to playing ice hockey. Everything was put in the game just late. Thankfully, they could still release or be saved for next year, but not all of them. Shave the Date literally had 2024 in it, dating it immediately, and the Snowblower used the old Winterfest theme from that year. Let's move on to one of the most infamous skins of all time, Brilliant Bomber. She was originally planned to debut the annual pass, Epic's first idea for the crew, where you pay almost 8,000 V-Bucks yearly, and you get a bunch of skins in every pass for 12 months. Obviously, this was all redesigned into the subscription we have today, and skins like Bash and Astro were released into the shop, all except for Brilliant Bomber. Both her and Loons have been lost to time, officially becoming the oldest skin to never release. Maybe we could have beat her with Space Pistol, a tiny gun which packed a punch. This thing fired giant lasers at enemies that bounced off the walls. Most of the idea probably got reused for other guns over the years, but we've still never had bullets that could bounce around. And they should have also kept the airstrike laser in the game. Imagine the airstrike grenade and mix it with the anvil launcher, because this thing could call in an airstrike from a distance, raining explosions on your enemy. Rewinding back to Chapter 4, this was the only time we had reality augments in the game. Obviously, the entire mechanic was deleted and replaced with boons, but it's cool to see what other augments Epic had planned. One was a double-sided hook, which gave you 2 fish for the price of 1. Then we had the Foodie, which gave a random movement effect when eating, and Heatseeker that straight up unlocked thermal vision. Another really unique item is the Big Poppy. It was in the works all the way back in Chapter 1, and I can't really explain it more than a giant balloon that would destroy anything in its path. Pretty unique idea that probably evolved into things like the Stormflip or the Boombox. Here's an item you'll recognize, the Golden Ticket. Now, you might not know it as this, but this was actually Fortnite's first version of the Reboot Van. It would have brought back everyone on your team and even delivered them on your personal battle bus. Nowadays, we have reboot cars and vans, and in the most recent updates, you can even buy them back or get upgraded loot. What I find very disappointing is how Epic completely got rid of weapon charms. These were some of the most leaked updates in Fortnite history. I mean, they have been in the works since early Chapter 1. Well, in 2024, they were deleted from the files and all mention of them was erased. The leading theory is that first person being introduced completely changed how weapon charms would work, and they decided to scrap it rather than overhaul the entire thing. Hopefully, they come back to this idea one day because this would rock in Ballistic. They also had the idea of an energy crystal, which was a power-up you keep in your inventory to receive special buffs. You walk around slower, but receive double your fire rate and the speed that you could harvest resources. I'm actually thinking about it right now. Isn't that Gold Rush? The Seeker was another strange weapon in development. It shot out tiny drones into the air that locked onto the nearest player, and it just head straight for him and exploded. It's a pretty fun design that we've seen multiple times now with other kinds of lock-on weapons, so it makes sense it never came out. What about the canceled Greek god Mythic? Back in Myths Immortals, there were a lot of items to choose from, except there would have been even more like the Firehammer Mythic. It never released because the
Festus was also scrapped. This got this hit like in the surveys this indeed a miracle for them. In the old days, Epic planned for consumables to spawn more restaurants, letting us try a nerve burger, even a shake. That would just give you health and shields like the forged items we know today, and nobody has any idea why this was a cut feature, especially since it was basically finished. We also got to see concept art for this Citadel. Now, the exterior images showing a huge waterfall on a bridge have been around for quite some time. Made Fortnite to literally use them as paintings on the map. We never got to see the designs from the inside, and it's so different to what the UI ended up actually looking like. What about the most infamous glider of all time? Years ago, the Fortnite community was in a frenzy, all because we were trying to unlock that golden umbrella. There were a bunch of variants that got added, from bronze all the way to platinum, and people were expected to be given out for hitting new milestones. Some players could even try them out in special LAN tournaments, but aside from that, they were never released to the public. Now, I feel like it was totally taken over by the rank gliders. What was the scrapped update you wanted to try out the most? Let me know in the comments. It's been Tommy, and keep it here on Top 5 Geek.
There's a reason the name is died. Yes, sir.